Hi guys, how are you today? I hope you're well. I am well myself and quite excited to be back here. It's been a while and I'm so grateful to just have the time to do these sit down videos. I welcome you, returning subscribers. You've been here for a while and been doing the journey with us. I'm so grateful. And for the new subscribers, I welcome you with open arms. I'm just so excited that you decided to join us. And if you're watching this for the first time and you haven't, please subscribe and let's do the journey together. So today I wanted to speak about why the journey is so hard. It's the end of the year. So many people are sighing out inwardly and outwardly just to express how tired and difficult things feel. And I'm here to say that I feel you. I feel you. I feel the heaviness and I feel it myself. I feel like I'm carrying a heavy load. And I've just been looking back on my journey and thinking, hey, you know, like I need a break. And because in the journey, God does sort of show us why we had to go through certain things. I want to share those factors with you and just tell you you're not crazy. It is difficult. And even though some people seem to do it easily and some people seem to have it figured out, we just don't know their journey. Sometimes some people are graced to carry things better and so that they can be an example for people who are like them. And there are people who are graced to speak, you know, and I am graced to speak. So whenever I can share, I will share and tell you that I feel you, sis. I feel you, bro. You know, it's not easy. And these are the things I found out. If you don't know me, if you don't know my story, you can go to the very beginning, to the first videos that I did. I talked about the journey to Canada and how we were denied visas 4 times. I mean 3 times, only to get it on the 4th time. And in that particular season, I was likening our journey to Isaac, the son of Abraham. And because my husband had gone ahead, when we arrived in Canada, I was likening him to Abraham. And we know what a journey Abraham had to go through as the father of the nations, you know. And I, I, I have looked at this man and thought, my God, you know, when people seem to do a journey so easily, we forget that they have a story. Everybody has a story, even when they don't share it, even if they don't feel the need to share it, you know. Everybody does have a story. And for us, following my husband, I read, I think in one of the I think the third video that I did, I read on Genesis where Isaac was digging his father's holes or wells. They had been on a journey, and when he wanted to settle in Gerar, he would dig the wells that his father before him had dug. And the people of the land would fight him, you know, and be like, this is our well. We want our animals to drink from this as well, so we cannot allow you. And Isaac could not fight back. He would just move on to the next place. And 3 times, I mean 2 times, these people of the land fought him, you know, and he would name the wells according to what event took place, you know, like if they fought him, he would name them. He had names like Sidna and Esek. And then he came to a well that was okay. The waters were not bitter and nobody fought them about these wells. And he called the place Rehoboth, you know. And then when he was there, the Lord asked him to move further to a place called Beersheba. And he named the place to a place that had sweet waters, and he named the place Beersheba. Why am I saying all this? I'm saying that I have walked in such a journey where we were denied visas 3 times, and not only that, there were circumstances in each and every step of the way. You know, that we had to move houses, we had to find a place where we could settle. We were busy looking for a place where we could settle. At one point, I felt like I gave up on the Canadian journey. because it was very difficult. And so I said, we will just move to a place that is comfortable, where I can work and still take care of my children, and we will just settle there. Yeah. But God had another plan, and that was not the end for him, you know. And even when I set a business and expanded it, you know, there came a time where I had to close it, and I still didn't even know what was happening, you know. And in that year, because I was out of options, I remember writing down a vision, or writing down just my dream. And I said, we were in Acacia, and I wrote, the pastor actually asked us to write down, and I wrote, I want for us to have visas to Canada in the coming year, and I want provision for the same. Now I've discovered that as you're progressing, there are times where God will provide, but only through your hard work, because he's teaching you, you know. And when you learn things this way, when you understand that it has to come from you, then you deal with things better, and you understand the people ahead of you better, you know, because there's always been people ahead of you, people that sometimes you were depending on, people who you were thinking, oh, this is my rich auntie, my rich uncle, you know, they should take care of us, or do this and that, you know. But when you do the journey, you understand that it's not easy. So I want to validate you and say, indeed, the journey is not easy, you know. As the journey was hard for Abraham, it should have been so easy for Isaac to just come and open up the worlds. But God was keen that Isaac does not dwell where he's not wanted, you know. And so he would take him, because God always has another plan. God always has another chance. God always has another thing for you, you know. And so we should not, you know, settle unless he wants us to, or he tells us to, you know. We should not fight people unless he tells us to. So you have to be so keen and so alert when God says move. You need to move, not fight with the idea, not fight with the decision, you know. And you only learn to hear God's voice in the journey if you're keen to learn it. And sometimes it will be so troubling, it will be so scary, you know. You will wonder, I'm moving, and then what? You know. So why is your journey so hard? I want to share the things that I've come to learn, you know. So number one, the journey is so difficult because you're growing. You've never been in this place before. I had never been abroad before. I had had a lot of stories, and I didn't even know how to prepare, you know. I wasn't so keen to learn how to prepare, because I'm the kind of person who always wants to originate things, to do things my way. So I was learning from other people, and in the journey I realized, oh, as much as I want to be original, I have to learn from other people as well, you know. And in such times, sometimes I went, you know, with just my thoughts and my plans, and God would bring me a teacher for the season that he caused me to listen to. So when you're growing, there's somebody who will come to speak about the things that you're feeling or seeing or learning, so that you may relate with and feel like and understand that this place that others have gone before you, and this is doable. You don't need to go back, you know. You don't need to resort to what you always knew. You don't need to settle for what you know, because God is going to do a new thing, you know. Just like in Isaiah 42 it says, I think verse 9, I'm doing a new thing, and before you see it, I announce it through my prophets. So when you're ready, when the student is ready, the Lord will send a teacher, you know. The teacher appears, and he will tell you things that you need to understand about the season. So you need not be afraid, especially when you're very uncomfortable in the journey and you're wondering, is this for me? Is this the decision I'm supposed to make? You know, is this my purpose? You know, sometimes it feels so strange, and it's only because you haven't been there. So God will send someone to speak for you, and he will send several people to confirm it, you know, because that's how he works. He is faithful and just. He doesn't want you to be confused, and when it's his plan, he doesn't it comes with some peace, you know. So you know that, you know, even when nobody else can relate, you know that this is the right thing to do, and he's doing it for a greater glory. He's doing it for your peace. He's doing it for your expansion, you know, so that you can be where he wants you to be in this season. All right, number two, Your journey seems so difficult because you're the pioneer. Perhaps you're the first person in your family to do this thing. And even though you may have great examples, my grandma was the first person in her family to come to Nairobi, or to go to Nairobi from the country. And she went to Nairobi and started trading, learned the ropes, you know, how to get property, how to do this and that. And yeah, she settled in Nairobi. And that is where we were born, just close to her, grew up with her, around her. And that was beautiful, you know. Her journey was not in any way easy. I remember, as far as I knew her, my grandma had gray hair, and I seem to have inherited it, yeah. And I'm embracing it because now I understand there's a reason why God wanted me to grow closely to her, you know. And so she broke so many barriers. She broke so many cycles, you know, just for being the first to do that. It took a lot of courage. It took a lot of guts, you know, to be able to do that. And something else, it took discomfort, because where she was, she grew out of her comfort, you know. I wasn't always happy about that, you know, but now I understand, you know. So when you're a pioneer, the journey may be very difficult because you're breaking chains that you don't even understand, you know. You're breaking chains that you don't visually see, you know, to the physical eye at least. You may understand from the spiritual level, because God is all about revealing things to you at the right time, yeah. And so you may find it so difficult. Point 3, you are the chosen one. That sounds nice, yeah? Well, it's not. When you're a chosen one to do a particular thing, think about Joseph in his journey. The chosen ones sometimes are the most overlooked, especially in a family setting. Even me as a parent, knowing these things, I look at my children and I don't know who is the chosen one. I know who is the obedient one. I know who I can go to for different things. I know who, you know, for different reasons. But I do not know who is the chosen one. When Joseph went to his brothers and to his fathers and said, I had this dream, they're actually the ones who translated the dream. And the brothers were so vexed and saying, are you saying that you're going to kneel down before you? You know? And so Joseph would wonder, what exactly are you talking about? You know? And the father one time said, when he gave his dream about the moon and the stars bowing to him, he said, you're saying that me and your mother and your brothers are going to kneel down before you? You know, stop this nonsense, child. What are you saying? Are you crazy? You know? And it was very difficult for Joseph. No one believed him when he spoke, because such talk in a family sounds like total gibberish. Why? Why are you even saying these things? Who is pushing you to say these things? Why are you like that? Why is your spirit like that? You know? And Jesus spoke about the rejected stone being the cornerstone, yeah? Because chosen people are very unusual. And that's why I'm saying it's not easy. There's no place you'll ever go and be accepted, you know? Along the journey, I can promise you that there will be some acceptance, and sometimes you'll be accepted in place that you cannot stay. God is saying, move out of there, and you're like, this is the first place. I've been accepted, I've been loved, I've been understood. What do you mean? When you say move out of there, there's a huge price to pay because you're the chosen one. So Joseph, being the loved one in the family, with his coat of many colors that his fathers made for him, because he was so proud. And so you can imagine the bond they had, because his mother had died, you know. So with his father, he loved him. And he must have been fearful, especially after the journey that Jacob had lived, you know, where he had conned people. And then he faced so much pain in his life. And then he's holding on to these children because they're symbolic to his journey, to his love, you know. They're children of his first love, Rachel. And now the child has disappeared, that he was killed by an animal. How do you even live with yourself? You think you're paying for all the mistakes that you've done, but then God has another plan. He has gone ahead of you to make the crooked way straight. And so Joseph goes into the land, you know the story, and he becomes a ruler in the land, you know. But what was the journey like? How painful was that? Spending time in prison, you know? feeling so lost and confused about this life, you know, imagining that the brothers who are so mean to him are still with daddy, the father that I love so much, and I'm out here being a prisoner, you know, working for somebody. He knew he would be comfortable at home, but sometimes it takes being uncomfortable for you to find your purpose. It's so difficult. It's so hard being the chosen one to take your people out. Oh my God. But God is faithful and he'll give you the grace and strength for the journey. Number 4, you are the chain breaker. And just like the chosen one, it sounds so nice, like you're breaking chains for my family, making it easy for them. Sometimes it's about breaking bad habits. It's about picking or choosing the narrow path so that the ones who come before you are able to be shaped and get generational blessings. When you realize that sometimes we are living or we are paying for the sins of our fathers and our grandfathers, and that goes for the grandmothers as well, you realize that sometimes you are chosen to have such a strict journey and avoid so many things that could have otherwise given you some comfort or joy, or freedom to live wildly and do whatever. But God is putting you on a very strict path. And you find that sometimes whatever you do today, you're paying for tomorrow. And you're wondering, how come some people tend to go for so long without getting their punishment? Why is mine so fast and rapid, you know? But you find that as a chain breaker, God will not allow you to dwell in places where you're either unfair, either sinful, either... You get the gist, yeah? I can't come up with another one. But as a chain breaker, you're supposed to break the bad habits. And sometimes it involves so much. You will get hated because you're speaking up against things that people have not heard, you know? People are not used to hearing this kind of thing. And you're there saying, oh, things should not be this way, you know? There's so much that is wrong in the religion. And sometimes when your eyes open to certain things that you should not do, it's very hard for people to accept, especially if they're not where you are, if they have not seen what you have seen. If you're trying to school people on something they're very uncomfortable with or that does not suit them, it's very difficult for people to accept. So as a chain breaker, you're breaking some things that are so uncomfortable for you and for the people who have to take it, you know? And that is why as a chosen one, as a chain breaker, you could get very hated and very isolated. And it's in those times of isolation that you get to learn, you know, and get to even draw closer to God, because he's showing you that there's light at the end of the tunnel. I have chosen you to do this. And while the journey sometimes may not be so clear, you have to take it. And you have to sit in the discomfort, and it's very difficult. Number 5, and the final one, it's because you're a vessel that God, or through which God wants to work out something. Oh, I will go back to that Timothy 20. So I will read from Timothy 2:20. And it says, in a wealthy home, some utensils are made of gold and silver, and some are made of wood and clay. The expensive utensils are used for special occasions, and the cheap ones are for everyday use. If you keep yourself pure, you will be a special utensil for honorable use. Your life will be clean, and you'll be ready for the master to use you for every day, for every good work. Let me repeat that because I jumbled it. Your life will be clean, and you'll be ready for the master to use you for every good work. So let me tell you something. You see, everybody who is doing something that you can see, especially what you see online, some people you look at and you're like, eh? And some people like me come in with this very unusual things to speak about. We are used in those many ways. Sometimes at the level you are, you're just a vessel of clay. or a vessel of wood, or a vessel of plastic, let's say. But as you do the work, because God is enabling you to come out with this at the level that you are. And as the vessel you are, there are people who will relate with you, who are in a certain journey or in a certain place that they can only relate with you, not the next person. And that is why when you're called to speak, you need to speak, because God is using you for that particular season, you know. And when you graduate from from that kind of use, God will make you a worthy vessel, so that you're used in a grander way, in a, you know, in a higher place, you know. So when God wants to use you to say something, especially unusual things, like people who speak not against but point out some wrongs in the church or in the family, it's not common. And so many people might attack that, yeah. And so it's important to not just speak about what people are speaking. Speak about what you're called to speak, because that is what you're graced for, you know. So God will use you as a vessel, because He won't come down here Himself. He won't come down and do the things that He wants to do in the world. He will partner with you. He'll come into agreement with someone. He will put a word in you and have you speak it wherever He'll have you speak it, yeah? You're used as a vessel, and that is why the journey is so hard. And when you're like tired of being used in a certain way, He will promote you if you've done the job where you are. And some jobs are so uncomfortable and they're so hard, and it takes a lot of guts, and it takes a lot of sometimes humility or humiliation and gossip. Even you attract a lot of gossip, you attract a lot of misunderstanding, but God wants to speak through you. And so He does. And while you understand what that is, sometimes it's very uncomfortable. But the good thing with God is that He always pays. And that is why we always end up working for Him. So those are the points I have. I hope they've helped somebody, especially those people who come here just looking for a particular answer. I hope I've been able to articulate it well in the way that I could. And I thank God even for this opportunity. I'm meant to go outside and do some things. So I hope you've also enjoyed the other videos that we've been doing about our life abroad, the things we do, what we cook, how we cook it. And I'm so grateful. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.